I don't know if you can hear Boomer. She was not in the office, and I closed the door because I've got some music playing in the other room. And 10 seconds after I closed the door, Boomer's trying to get in. Anyway, have you heard that new song, Praying by Kesha? I really like that one. Whenever her new album came out, I listen to Amazon Music and stuff. Whenever I'm not recording or doing something that maybe requires some intense focus, I've got music playing in my blog post this just recently, ellerywells.com/techstack. It'll be a podcast here fairly soon, I'm sure. But anyway, I talk about the speakers and the setup I've got here in the office, and I'm always blaring music. Anyway, when this new album came out, they were playing it all the time, and I kind of got sick of it. But this song is pretty catchy. But that's not what we're chatting about today. But I wanted to say hello to Dane and Amy and everybody else out there who's listening to the podcast. One of my listeners told me the other day, I heard you mention Lord of the Rings and Star Wars in a podcast, and I was like, this is my people. So yeah, I like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and Star Trek. I don't know how you could just be only one. I mean, come on. Although, I think it's pretty freaking stupid that CBS put the new Star Trek only on the app. Like, we watched the first episode on our TV, we'd recorded it, and we were out on the back porch, and we were just enjoying a nice evening, and we watched it, and then the rest of them are on apps? Like, what is that about? Have we talked about that here on the podcast? I don't know. Like, that's got to be one of the dumbest things that you could possibly do. Like, if you wanted to kill a show, not only would you maybe air the episodes out of order, Firefly, but you'd put it app only, and you wouldn't let people access it from the freaking TV boxes. I don't know. CBS is doing stupid stuff. Fox killed Firefly that way, but they came back with Serenity. Yes. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about hustle versus work-life balance. And maybe Facebook is fickle. Like, guys, if you're basing your business on what people are saying on Facebook, please stop that. Facebook is populated by idiots who have more opinions than they do sense. And on 1 minute, they're like, yes, hustle, Gary V, hustle and grind, and, I worked 80 hours this week, but it's my business, so it's awesome. And then the next minute, it's like, man, that hustle's dead. Let's talk about relaxing and peace and, meditation and all this stuff. And if you're basing what you do in your business on the feelings and emotions of what the trending thing is on Facebook, you're probably not being true to yourself, and you're probably doing something wrong. I've fallen victim to it. I've posted things on Facebook, and to see what, gauge the temperature of the water to see what was going on. And I don't want to say I necessarily regretted it, but think about this for a second. Let me kind of insert this into the Facebook comment. Are the most successful people that you can think of in your industry, are they actually on Facebook? Are they commenting? Are they going in and engaging? No, they're freaking working in their business. And that's what we're going to talk about today. My opinion on that. Hustle versus balance. How do you choose? How do you decide, is this the time to grind, or is this the time to take a break? And I don't think anybody can make that decision for you, but you're here because you want my advice and you want my opinion, so I'm going to give that to you. If you'd like the show notes for this, if you would like to check out this specific, the blog that goes along with this audio, go to ellerywells.com/hustle. And let me ask a favor before we roll the credits here. Let me ask you a quick favor. I have made, my gosh, so many different changes in the last. When was Thrive? That was not October, and that must have been September. So in the last, let's call it 90 days, I've changed WordPress themes, changed hosts, shut down my membership site, moved all of my landing pages from their own install back to ElleryWells.com. I've got new checkout software. I'm starting a new mastermind, started a new coaching client. I think I'm about to buy new survey software. That's just the ones that I rattled off the top of my head. So if you see something that's broken, if you go to a link and you get my fancy new 404 page that goes with the new Thrive Themes theme, if you see something that's not right, will you let me know? I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to chastise you for pointing this out. I'd rather know if I've got egg on my face. I'd rather know if I've done something kind of to do something that has broken instead of letting it linger out there. So if I've given you the impression that I will be mad at you for pointing out, a mistake that I made, that's definitely not the case. So please let me know. Oh, and I've started using this other thing for link tracking. Anyway, it's so many changes, and I would be surprised if something really wasn't busted somewhere. So anyway, some more growing pains. We'll talk about those in a couple more episodes where I'm talking about my tech stack, talking about the software that powers my business, those kinds of things. But anyway, let's dive into this hustle. How do we choose? Is it time to dig down, tap into the energy drink keg and focus? Or is it time to sit back and relax and focus on building this work-life balance? I'm not one of those entrepreneurs who gave up their six-figure salary and fancy office to start a business, and I wasn't selling lemonade to my neighbors when I was 7. I wasn't born an entrepreneur, and I never laid awake at night dreaming of owning my own business. My name is Ellery Wells, and I was forced to make a decision. Welcome to the Ellery Wells Show, where we talk with real entrepreneurs about real problems that they're facing and real solutions on how they are overcoming obstacles, achieving their goals, and making a difference in the world. If you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, this is the place to be to help you start, build, or grow your business. When I was in corporate America, everybody was talking about work-life balance. It was a big drive from human resources. Work-life balance, blah, 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 blah. But it's stupid. And honestly, even before I go into the notes that I've taken for this episode, you don't need work-life balance if you absolutely love what you do. Last night, I went to sleep thinking about some changes that I wanted to make this morning. I didn't write them down, so of course I forgot. But the saying, create a life you don't need a vacation from, I have that. It's crazy, and I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. I mean, I think it would always be better. There are always things I would want to change in my business, but I don't need a vacation because I live and breathe and absolutely love doing this stuff. So if you've never heard that before, create a life that you don't need a vacation from. It's possible, but it takes so much work. And sorry, I'm kind of going on a rant here, but I see so many of my clients who don't put in that work. And they just expect, I don't know what they expect. Entrepreneurship is one of the hardest things that you will ever do. Yes, it will make you a better person. Yes, it will teach you all of these things, but it is absolutely one of the hardest things that you could ever do in your entire lifetime. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of work. And not only is it hard, but it takes a lot of work and time. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. But in the world of entrepreneurship, we talk, work-life balance in corporate America, cool, go home and punch the time clock. In the world of entrepreneurship, it's all about hustle and grind, like I mentioned, Gary V. So how do we know which one is best? How do we know if we should hustle or if we should balance? And how do we make that decision for ourselves? And actually, I got to meet Gary V a few years ago, and a few years before that, I was introduced to him for the first time. Gary was one of the keynote speakers for the very first Thrive Make Money Matter event, which I've talked about here on the show, which I've talked about on ElleryWells.com. And Gary's message is all about the hustle. Show up, put in the work, and hustle until you get what you want. He wants to buy... I think it's the Jets, the New York Jets, the Giants. I don't know. I don't pay that close attention, and I don't care about football. Anyway, and then just a few weeks ago, this would probably have been in, I don't know, the fall of 2017. It was probably September, October 2017. And Michael and I were actually tweeting about this on Twitter. And he thinks I missed the point of the post. And maybe I did. Or I don't want to say I missed the post. I chose to pull from it what I wanted to pull so I could make a point. Anyway, at ellerywells.com/hustle, there's a link to that post. But Michael talked about how hustle is dead and we should focus more on maintaining this work-life balance. I think he shared on Facebook a little bit more detail that reinforced my point that I drew from his article of, I don't know if I can find it. Maybe you'll find it probably on Michael Hyatt's page, not a group, and he and I aren't friends on Facebook, but he basically said hustle is dead. That is so over that now it's all about relaxation and investing, in your vacation time. I don't know. It's not necessarily important, but the different ways of thinking are like tanning. You remember the history of how our culture perceived having a tan and how it has changed quite a bit over the last 100 years or so? Because at first, wealthy people could afford to not do manual labor. And so they weren't out in the fields, doing whatever you do with corn, shucking corn, chopping corn. I don't know, throwing it in a bucket. I don't know what you do with the corn. But they weren't out in the sun. And then as more jobs moved inside, like Henry Ford, factories, assembly lines, there was a shift in the trends. And it was cooler to be tan because that meant you didn't have to be cooped up in an office all day and you could travel to exotic and tropical locations. So at first it was not cool to be tan because, if you had lighter skin, and we're not talking about race, we're just talking about literally having a tan, you would not be out in the sun working. And then all of a sudden, when factories came around and we had the assembly line in the Industrial Revolution, we moved more jobs inside. Okay, maybe it was a little bit more than 100 years ago, but that totally changed. So on one hand, it's wonderful to hustle toward your dream, go after what you want, show up, put in the work, hustle, and grind. And on the other hand, it's as equally wonderful to not have to hustle because you already have the life you want. Sounds perfectly confusing, right? I mean, I can see how this would be a point of contention and might cause a little bit of a dilemma as you're sitting down, like, what do I do today? Do I relax and post on social media that I'm living it up, or do I post, I'm sitting in my office and I'm working late? What is it? So what is it? Hustle or balance? But at the Thrive Conference 2017 that I was at the end of September, I had the opportunity to hear Elena Cardone speak from stage. And one thing she pounded into our heads is you are either building or destroying your empire. Everything we do, what you're doing right now while listening to this podcast, every decision you make, every activity that you participate in either builds or it destroys. So before marrying Grant, yes, that Grant Cardone, author of the 10X Rule, and I've got a couple books by him. There's 10X Rule, and I think I'm reading on, no, actually I have this one, oh gosh, what is it? Be Obsessed or Be Average. And I'm really liking that book too. But she's married to Grant, but before that, she had a successful career. She was in TV shows, lived the movie star lifestyle, and was a strong and independent woman. And she decided to give all that up to pursue a business of her own and her partnership with Grant. She said no to the good things so she could say yes to the great things. We've talked about that here on the podcast. First, you have to distinguish where these decisions fall, but you have to learn to say no to the good things in life so you can say yes to the great things in life. She had a vision and she went after it. So also scheduled for the same weekend as Thrive was a national shooting competition. I think it was pistols, in which Elena had earned a spot to compete. It was a national shooting competition, and it was something that she had worked for a long time to get good at. However, She gave up her shot at winning to join 1,000 of us entrepreneurs in Las Vegas to talk about business and building an empire. Shooting was her hobby. Her business is her legacy. Again, you're either building or you are destroying. And then Elena said something that might rub you the wrong way a little bit. It might actually, I don't know if it will. I tend to agree with it because, again, I have the opportunity to lead a life that I don't need a vacation from. I don't need to go. I mean, Ashley and I have a lot of fun. We go out with friends and have wine and drinks and all that kind of stuff. But here's what she said. Anytime our friends try to distract us from achieving our mission, they're not acting like true friends. Anytime your friends say, hey, blow that off, and that being like the pursuit of your vision, your goal in life, and your mission, they're not acting like true friends when they say, let's go do something else. What do you think about that? And in my head, I see it as someone who is morbidly obese and on their mission to achieve a healthy lifestyle and body. And then in the middle of their fitness and weight loss journey, their friends invite them over for ice cream and pizza, all under the guise of friendship. Now, my fitness friends will appreciate this sidetrack. My non-fitness friends, I'm not a fitness person either, but guys, most likely you need to lose some weight. Your kids deserve for you to be healthy. I won't say any more than that. I've got a lot of opinions, but I mean, you deserve, your family deserves to have the healthiest version of you. And that ties into this example because you have a goal and you're going after it with everything you've got, and your friends are trying to derail all of your progress with a night of fun. Hey, I know you're trying to lose 20 pounds and you've got high blood pressure and high cholesterol, but let's just go out and have pizza and ice cream one night. You're going to blow all of the progress that you've made just so that you can have fun for a few hours? I don't think so. I kind of agree with Elena. Your friends that are trying to distract you from achieving your mission, are they really your friends? One of my best friends in the world, every time we talk about business and the cool stuff that we are doing to make better lives for ourselves, generate more revenue so we can do the things and go to the places that we want to go. One of the things I was telling my coaching clients is that when you have a goal, you must weigh every decision against whether or not it will get you closer or further away to achieving that goal. You are either building or destroying, and you cannot do both. What do you think about that? In the context of weight loss, does one night of ice cream and pizza mean you won't get the body you want? No, probably not. In the context of building a successful business, does a night off or taking a vacation mean you won't get the business you want? No, probably not. But is one night of distraction worth it if it's going to set you back a week or a month? I see so many people who lose momentum because of little tiny breaks that they take. Instead of digging deep and continuing to show up even when they're tired or exhausted, they take a break and they lose all of the momentum. They get out of the zone. They lose focus. Is one night of distraction, is one break worth it if it's going to set you back hours, days, weeks, months, or maybe even a year? No, it's not. But if you look at every decision through the lens of getting closer or further from your goal, or through the lens of either building or destroying your empire, or through the lens of either achieving or not achieving what you want, every decision takes on a new meaning. And at least for me, it makes that decision much easier. If you've ever been on a coaching call or a mastermind call with me, or probably any call, or heard me speak on stage, you know I like examples. And when you can create what might seem like drastic, over-exaggerated examples, it really helps make the decision clearer. Like in this case, you either achieve your goal if you do these actions, or you don't achieve your goal if you don't take those actions. I mean, it kind of clarifies things, doesn't it? So which is more important? Is it hustle or is it balance? Which one means more? Which one should you be focusing on? Well, I don't think anybody can answer that question for you. But for me, I wrote this post at 10:25 p.m. on a Saturday night. I'm actually recording this a little bit before noon on a Tuesday, but I wrote the post on a Saturday. I wasn't out partying. I wasn't at a movie. Now, we go to movies. We don't really go to parties. I mean, we're not in our 20s anymore. But anyway, I was working on this late at night on a Saturday. And for me, the question is not about hustle and it's not about balance. It's not a choice. It's not a either or. It's not which one do I focus on. The question for me is, do I have everything that I want in life? That's the question that I ask. I don't say, well, should I go to work today? Should I focus or play video games? Should I relax? Or should I get back into the office and start recording? The question is, do I have everything that I want? And the answer is no. So screw balance. I have goals and I have not achieved them yet. So for me, the answer is absolutely hustle. So what about you? What is the answer that you would give if I asked you, do you want to hustle or do you want a little bit more balance in your life? I'd love to hear from you. If you've got thoughts about this, shoot me an email, ellery@ellerywells.com, and just say, I choose hustle or I choose balance. Or tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that you completely disagree. I don't get to hear from you guys enough, but I was talking to an old friend of mine that works at Dell. She still works there. I obviously do not. And she picked up my book and started reading it. And she was like, I can't believe that all of this stuff happened to you. I didn't know you were that miserable. And honestly, I had to what did I say? I mean, these things, I mean, how was she taking them? And we chatted on Facebook Messenger a little bit, but it was so cool to have somebody who was reading my book message me. I mean, I've seen the photos, I've seen, I see the sales coming in, but to actually hear from somebody who has read the book was really, really freaking cool. And whenever I hear somebody's listened to a podcast episode or I get a message saying, I read your blog post, do you know how awesome that is? It's pretty freaking cool, guys. And I don't hear from you. Don't think, oh, somebody else is going to email Ellery. Pull up your phone, tap the little mail icon, and just freaking email me or text me or whatever. All right, one last thing. Hey, I know the doors have closed for 8 weeks to exit, but there is a wait list. The price has gone up a little bit just because it's not the first class anymore, and I wanted to reward and give the biggest discount to the people who signed up for that very first initial class. So the price has gone up a little bit, but it's still not what the course is worth. But if you go to 8weekstoexit.com, there may or may not be a coupon in it for you if you join the wait list to be in the next class. I'm just saying, 8weekstoexit.com, if you want to learn about WordPress, if you want to learn how to build better websites, if you've got to hire a developer, you should be in 8 weeks to exit because you're going to pay that guy or girl more than the cost of the course to build your website. It may take you a little bit longer, but you're going to have a lot of knowledge about your online business. Knowledge is power. Learning is your superpower. And the more you learn about the tools and things that are powering your business, the better off you will be. So sign up for the class at 8weekstoexit.com. Join that wait list and you'll be glad you did. All right, back to work for me. I got other things to do. I got to get back to work. I've got emails to send and software to check out and vet. So you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to the Ellery Wells Show. I'm your host, Ellery Wells from Round Rock, Texas. Have an awesome day.